James here from GoodGuitarist.com, and in today's lesson I'm going to show you how to play Sea of Love by Phil Phillips. This one is a pretty standard tune, just basic chord shapes, most common strumming pattern ever. It's a pretty easy strummer. I wouldn't learn it as like my first song if I was just getting started, but it would be like my third or fourth tune probably. It's not too difficult. Since it is such a simple tune, I'm actually going to show you how to do it in two ways. I'm going to show you how to strum it, and I'm also going to show you how to finger pick it. And if you find along the way that you need extra help, I have a bunch of resources for you. I'll put links to all those down below. There's my free ebook, my complete beginner's course. I'm making a fingerstyle course right now, a whole bunch of stuff. So check that out if you need any extra help. Otherwise, we're going to jump right in and start with the chord shapes. Our first chord shape is G. And from there, we go into a B7 chord. And that switch from G to B7 isn't too tricky. What I do is first I slide the whole shape one fret, and then you can move those two fingers over. And then you take your ring finger and you move it up. There are a few steps, but just work them out bit by bit. My pinky's sliding down, and the rest of them can kind of just move over. And after a while, you can just do it in one shot. Just go through it mechanically over and over again. Anyways, after that, we have a C chord. And then from C, we switch to A7. And I recommend doing it that way, where we just leave our middle finger down, just pivot off your middle finger. Nice and simple. There's one other chord in this one. We don't get to it until the bridge. It's a D chord. So all in all, really stock chords like G, C, D, A7, B7. Those two are a bit less stock than G, C, and D, but they're still super normal chords. Take some time with them if you're not familiar with them and working out the switches. Otherwise, we're going to practice them in order. We're going to practice the chord order, starting off on G, using downstrokes only. We're not going to worry about the rhythm yet. Just nice and slow, counting along. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. B7, 2. Switch to C, to A7. G, to A7. Now just 2 on G. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2. Let's do that all again. Back to the top. 1, 2, 3. B7, 2, 3, 4. C, 2, 3, 4. A7. G. A7. 1, 2. 1, 2. Now there still is one other section, but let's leave it for now and let's just take a look at the strumming pattern just so we can get that first part complete, and figure it all out. We're going to use the most common strumming pattern ever for this one. Down, down, up, up, down, up. The one tricky thing in this song is that it's so slow. And I know normally like doing things slowly, it seems easier than doing it quickly, but this is so slow that we all will have a tendency to speed up. There's a certain point where if you dip too low, we all get anxious and we just want to keep going. So it's, really hard to like keep the tempo down on this one. But, just after listening to the recording a whole bunch, it shouldn't be a problem. Anyways, we're going to try this on a G chord. It goes like this. So that is down, down, up, down, up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, down, up, down, up. And if you're having trouble with that, we can break it down into two parts. First, we have down, down, up. 3, 4. Down, down, up. 3, 4. I recommend just doing that a whole bunch. 3, 4. 3, 4. Until it's nice and comfortable, then we can take a look at the second half. 1, 2, miss, up, down, up. 1, 2, miss, up, down, up. Notice I'm missing the strings. Miss, up, down, up. 1, 2, miss, up, down, up. And the reason why I say miss is because we're missing a downstroke, which is a main beat, and it feels missing. And if we don't acknowledge that, it's really tough to get the upstroke after it to line up properly. So by saying miss, we're still feeling the beat, and then our upstrokes and everything all line up properly. Anyways, you work on that second half a whole bunch, and after a while you can glue it together at your own pace, just going down, up, miss, up, down. Just over and over again at your own pace. Just going down, down, up, miss, up, down, up, down, down, up, miss, up, down, up. Just to get the motions and everything in the right order. So just take your time with that. And if you need more help with it, I do have a bunch of stuff. Check the resources out down below in the description. Anyways, so that's the strumming pattern that you're going to use for most of it. But remember that part where we're doing 2 downstrokes of G and then 2 downstrokes of C? We have to change it up a little bit. We're just going to do the first half of our strumming pattern on each of those chords. So on G, down, down, up. Then we switch to C, down, down, up. And then it's business as usual for the next chord. So let's just try that. Let's try putting the chords and the strumming together. And if you don't quite know what's going on yet, or you're not ready, don't worry, just watch this part, see how it goes. You can always just rewind it and try it with me after. Here we go, starting off on G, nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. All again. So that's the first part with the strumming and everything. Now, before we go on and learn how to finger pick that one, I want to show you the other section, just so we can, learn all the chords for this song. We're just going to play our strumming pattern one time on each chord, just going through the changes. Starting off on D. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there you go, that's the entire tune. And at this point, if you don't feel like finger picking, we're done. You can just play those 2 sections back and forth a few times, that's the whole song. Otherwise, if you do want to, make this a bit more fun, let's take a look at how to finger pick through this entire tune. We're going to start off by placing our fingers. Now, for the entire song, the top 3 strings, the 3 thinnest strings, are going to be played by your index, middle, and ring. 1, 2, 3 on the top 3 strings. Now, your thumb is going to be changing its position based on which chord you're playing. So let's just go through the tune. On a G chord, that's our bass note. That's the lowest note of the chord. So our thumb's going to be plucking that one. And our pattern is super duper simple. We just go just up and down. 1 and 2 and, or you could think about it like thumb, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. We just do that 2 times per chord, basically. So 2 of those replaces the 1 strumming pattern. So let's practice that on a G chord over and over again just to get used to it. 1 and 2 and. With finger picking, the less motion you make, the better. If you're like, it just doesn't sound as smooth. You know, you just want to barely bend your fingers. Keep your thumb flat. Don't let it bend like that. You don't get as good of a tone as when it's flat. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. So moving on, our next chord is the B7 chord. And for this one, our fingers, they're staying put, but our thumb has to go to the A string because that's the lowest note of the B7 chord. Otherwise, it's exactly the same. Then we go to C, and the bass note's here on the A string. Same thing for A7. So for the first section, it's really only the G chord where your thumb is on the thickest string. For the rest of them, your thumb is on the A string. And that one part where we just did G for 2 beats and C for 2 beats, well, now you'll just do your finger picking pattern 1 time on G and 1 time on C, and then back to normal, 2 times per chord. So that's the first section. Now for the B section, we're starting off on D, and for this one, your thumb has to go to the D string because that's the root of the D chord. It's a D, go figure. So we have, and then for the rest of it, for C and B7, you already know how to finger pick those ones. So basically, it's really, really simple. Your thumb has to follow the root of the chord, and that's all there is to it. So we're gonna finish off the lesson by just finger picking through the entire thing. But before we do that, I wanna write out the chords for you so that you can make your own little chord chart for it that'll show you how long to do each chord for. Because that's what's missing when you just look it up online. It'll have the chords over top of the lyrics, but you don't really know exactly how many beats to do each one for. So let's figure that out right now. So this is the first section, and I've labeled it the A section because songs this old, they don't really have a verse and a chorus. They just have like the A, the B, the C. You might call it the bridge or the middle 8 or whatever, but you know, they didn't really establish that at this point. Anyways, we have the A section here, starting off on G, and notice I have 4 little ticks underneath it. That's to remind us that there's 4 beats for every chord. You know, there are 4 beats, 4 beats, 4 beats, until we get here. This is that part where we just had 2 beats of G and 2 beats of C. And I noted that just by putting a couple little ticks underneath each of them, just to remind me. Otherwise, it's 4 beats for every single chord. Just take a minute, pause the video, and write that down on a piece of paper. For the B section, it's just D, C, D, C, B7, and D. You know, just 6 chords, 4 beats, or 1 strumming pattern each. Really, really straightforward. The only part that we haven't talked about at all during this lesson is the intro. And the intro is just this section, but without these 2 chords. You know, that's the intro. It's just that. So you can just pause the screen, write that stuff down on a piece of paper, and that way you can kind of follow along with it as you're learning the song. Eventually, I want you to scrap the piece of paper and have the song memorized, play along with the original recording. You know, like that's eventually what you want to do. But while you're learning it, there's no shame in having some sort of visual reference to make it a bit easier for you. Anyways, here we go. We're gonna finger pick through the entire song. You can look at your little chart, or you can just follow along at the top of the screen, nice and slow, starting off on a G chord. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a come with me, my love. Oh, do, do, do. I love you. All right, so there you go. That's the whole tune, both strummed and finger picked. Now, if you find that you need any extra help, or if you're interested in getting better at finger picking, I'm about to release a finger picking course. You can sign up to be notified when that comes out down below. Otherwise, feel free to check out my free ebook, my beginner's course, anything that you need to help you be able to play a song like this from start to finish. If you have any questions, don't hesitate, ask in the comments down below. Otherwise, have a fun time practicing, and I'll see you soon.